I stood in the VIP section of Club Pulse, watching my boyfriend Derek lean into Vanessa's ear for the third time that night. His hand rested on her lower back while she laughed at something he whispered. This was normal now. This was my life. For 8 months, I'd watched Derek flirt with every woman who gave him attention, while he convinced me I was imagining things, being insecure, acting crazy. When I tried to talk about my feelings, he'd flip it around until I was apologizing for being jealous. But tonight was different. Tonight, something inside me finally snapped. I felt Jenna's hand squeeze mine as she watched me watching him. "Maya, you okay?" she asked softly. "I'm done," I whispered. She'd been telling me to leave him for months, but I kept making excuses. He loved me. He just needed attention. It didn't mean anything. I was being dramatic. All the lies I told myself were crumbling as I watched him pull Vanessa closer, his lips nearly touching her neck. Marcus, the bartender who'd been serving our section all night, caught my eye. There was sympathy there, like he'd seen this movie before and knew how it ended. I felt something shift in my chest. Not heartbreak, but rage. Pure, burning rage at Derek, at Vanessa, at myself for tolerating this for so long. Derek finally noticed me staring and had the audacity to wink, like this was all part of some game. That's when I made the decision that would change everything. I walked straight to the center of our group, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it over the music. Derek was still touching Vanessa, completely comfortable, completely confident I'd stay quiet like I always did, but not tonight. "Everyone," I said loudly, my voice cutting through the bass-heavy music. "I have an announcement." Derek's head snapped toward me, his eyes narrowing. Tyler, his best friend, looked up from his phone. Jenna's grip on my hand tightened. She knew something was coming. "Derek and I are in an open relationship now," I announced, watching his face go from confusion to shock. "So he can keep doing whatever he wants with Vanessa, and I can do whatever I want with whoever I want. Fair is fair, right?" The silence in our section was deafening. Derek's mouth opened, then closed. Vanessa stepped back slightly, suddenly uncomfortable with the spotlight. "Maya, what are you—" Derek started, but I was already walking away. I headed straight to the bar where Marcus was wiping down the counter. My hands were shaking, but I felt more alive than I had in months. "That took guts," Marcus said, a slight smile on his face. "I'm not done yet," I told him. "Can I ask you something crazy?" He raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening. Would you kiss me? Right here, right now, where everyone can see?" Marcus studied my face for a moment, then glanced over my shoulder at Derek, who was now pushing through the crowd toward us. "He's the boyfriend?" Marcus asked. "For about 5 more minutes, yeah," I said. Marcus set down his towel and leaned across the bar. "Then let's make it count." When his lips met mine, the club seemed to explode around us. I heard gasps, shouts, and above it all, Derek's voice screaming my name. But for the first time in 8 months, I didn't care what Derek thought. I was done being his doormat. Derek grabbed my arm and spun me around so hard I nearly lost my balance. His face was red, veins bulging in his neck. "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" he shouted. People were staring now, phones coming out to record the drama. "I'm doing exactly what you've been doing for months," I said calmly, though my heart was racing. Except I was honest about it first. "This is completely different," Derek yelled. "You're cheating on me." I actually laughed. The audacity was almost impressive. Cheating? You've had your hands on Vanessa all night. Last week you gave that girl at the gym your number. You text your work friends at 2 in the morning. But somehow I'm the cheater? Those don't count. Derek's grip tightened. I never actually did anything. Marcus stepped around the bar, his presence immediately making Derek loosen his hold on me. "She asked you to stop. I've seen you both here before. She's always uncomfortable while you flirt with everyone." "Nobody asked you, bartender," Derek sneered. "This is between me and my girlfriend. Ex-girlfriend," I corrected. "We're done, Derek." His face went from rage to shock to something uglier, wounded pride. "You can't dump me. Not like this. Not in front of everyone." "Watch me," I said. Tyler appeared then, pulling Derek back. "Bro, let's go cool off." But Derek wasn't done. He looked around at all the watching faces, at the phones recording, and made a decision that would haunt him. "You're all witnesses," he shouted. "She's a cheater, a liar. She kissed another guy while we're together. I've been nothing but loyal to her, and this is how she treats me. The crowd murmured. Some people looked at me with judgment, but Jenna stepped forward, her voice loud and clear. That's bullshit, and everyone here knows it. We've all watched you disrespect her for months. Derek's eyes went cold. Stay out of this, Jenna. This is between me and Maya. Not anymore, I said, walking away with Jenna and not looking back. I sat in Jenna's apartment at 3 a.m, scrolling through social media with a sick feeling in my stomach. Derek had beaten me to the narrative. His Instagram story showed him looking devastated, with the caption, "When you give someone everything and they cheat on you in public." Stay strong, kings. Not all women are loyal. The comments were brutal. People I'd never met were calling me terrible names. His friends were backing up his version of events. Even some of my acquaintances were liking his posts, buying into his victim narrative. He's such a manipulative asshole, Jenna said, reading over my shoulder. He's rewriting the whole night. My phone buzzed. It was my sister Rachel calling for the 3rd time. I finally answered. Maya, what the hell happened? Rachel asked. Derek's posting all over social media that you cheated on him. Mom's freaking out. I explained everything. The months of gaslighting, the constant flirting, the double standards, the breaking point. Rachel was quiet for a long moment. Why didn't you tell me it was this bad? Because every time I tried to talk about it, he made me feel crazy, I admitted, my voice breaking. He'd say I was insecure, that I was imagining things, that I was ruining our relationship with my jealousy. I started to believe him. That's emotional abuse, Maya, Rachel said gently. You know that, right? Hearing it said out loud made something crack inside me. I started crying, really crying, for the first time since leaving the club. Jenna wrapped her arms around me while Rachel stayed on the line, letting me fall apart. When I finally calmed down, Rachel's voice was firm. We're going to fix this. We're going to tell everyone the truth. But first, you need to block him on everything and get some sleep. Tomorrow, we fight back. I nodded even though she couldn't see me, but as I lay in Jenna's guest room, I couldn't stop thinking about Marcus and the way he'd looked at me, not with pity, but with respect. Like I was someone worth defending. When I woke up the next afternoon, my phone had 47 missed calls and over 200 notifications. My first instinct was panic. But then I saw they weren't all from Derek's side. Marcus had sent me a DM on Instagram. Hey, I hope you're okay. What happened last night wasn't fair to you. If you need someone to set the record straight about what really went down, I saw everything. I'm here. I stared at his message, surprised that someone who barely knew me was willing to get involved. Then I saw another message from someone named Sophia. You don't know me, but I'm Derek's ex from 2 years ago. I saw his posts. He did the same thing to me, flirted constantly, made me feel crazy for being upset, then played victim when I finally left. I have receipts if you need them. My hands started shaking. I wasn't the first. I wasn't crazy. There was evidence. Tyler, Derek's best friend, had also sent a message. I'm sorry for not saying something sooner. I've watched him treat you badly for months, and I said nothing because he's my boy. But last night was wrong. He's been lying to everyone about what happened. I'm setting the record straight. I showed everything to Jenna, who immediately went into crisis management mode. We're building a case, she said, opening her laptop. Screenshots, witnesses, timeline of events. Derek wants to play the victim? Let's show everyone who the real villain is. Rachel arrived an hour later with coffee and determination. I talked to Mom. She wants to hear your side. And I've already started commenting on Derek's posts with the truth. By evening, we had compiled everything. Photos of Derek and Vanessa from previous nights, screenshots of his flirty texts with other women that he'd accidentally left open on my laptop weeks ago, timestamps proving his version of events didn't match reality. Sophia sent her story too, eerily similar to mine, complete with Derek's same manipulation tactics. We weren't just defending me anymore. We were exposing a pattern. Ready to hit send? Jenna asked, her finger hovering over the post button. I thought about all the women Derek had manipulated, all the lies he'd told. Do it, I said. The post went viral within hours. Jenna had crafted it perfectly, my side of the story written calmly and clearly with receipts attached. Photos of Derek with his hands on Vanessa and other women at previous clubs, screenshots of his flirty messages with timestamps. Sophia's testimony about his identical behavior pattern, Tyler's statement as a witness to months of Derek's disrespect, Marcus's account of what he'd observed that night as a neutral third party. The comments section became a war zone. Derek's narrative was crumbling in real time as more people who'd witnessed his behavior came forward. Jake, another club regular, posted a video from that night showing Derek grinding on Vanessa before I'd even made my announcement. Women from Derek's gym, his office, his friend group, they all started sharing their stories. He'd hit on a married coworker. He'd sent inappropriate DMs to Tyler's girlfriend. He'd told multiple women they were special while dating me. The picture that emerged was damning. Derek tried to fight back, posting angry responses calling everyone liars, but each defensive post just made him look worse. His comments became increasingly unhinged, revealing the person I'd glimpsed behind closed doors, controlling, manipulative, desperate for control. Then Vanessa posted her own statement. I thought Derek and Maya were having problems. He told me they were basically over. He pursued me aggressively for weeks. I'm not innocent in this, but I was lied to just like Maya was. I'm sorry. Even Derek's own mother called him out in the comments, saying she was disappointed in how he'd treated a lovely girl and embarrassed by his behavior. That's when I knew it was really over. When your own mom turns on you publicly, you've lost. Mr. Patterson, Derek's boss, also saw the posts. Derek had been bringing Vanessa around the office, introducing her as his friend, getting too comfortable, with company time and resources for his personal drama. Within 48 hours of my post going viral, Derek was called into HR. The company didn't fire him, but they made it clear his behavior was being watched. His reputation at work was destroyed. The golden boy image he'd carefully crafted was shattered. And I was just getting started. Dr. Chen, my new therapist, helped me understand what I'd been through. Gaslighting is insidious, she explained during our second session. Your reality was constantly being questioned and rewritten. That's not a bad relationship. That's psychological abuse. Hearing those words from a professional changed something in me. I wasn't dramatic. I wasn't crazy. I was a survivor of emotional manipulation. I started rebuilding myself piece by piece. I picked up hobbies Derek had mocked. Painting, which he called a waste of time, and kickboxing, which he said would make me too muscular. I reconnected with friends he'd slowly isolated me from by always having plans when they invited us out. I threw myself into my graphic design work, landing 2 major clients I'd been too emotionally drained to pursue before. Marcus and I started talking more, meeting for coffee at neutral locations. He never pushed for anything romantic, just offered friendship and genuinely good conversation. I saw what he was doing to you for weeks before that night, Marcus admitted over coffee. I kept hoping you'd see it too. Why didn't you say something? I asked. Would you have listened? He was right. I wouldn't have. I had to reach that breaking point myself. Meanwhile, Derek's life continued its downward spiral. Vanessa wanted nothing to do with him after realizing she'd been manipulated too. His friend? Group fractured, with Tyler and 2 others openly distancing themselves. His social media, once full of confident posts about success and lifestyle, became sparse and defensive. But the real karma was still coming. Amy, the new girl at Derek's office, filed a complaint with HR about his unwanted advances. She'd seen all the drama online and recognized the same manipulation tactics he'd tried on her. Combined with Vanessa's testimony about his workplace behavior, Derek was given a formal warning and removed from his team lead position. His career trajectory, which he valued above everything, was officially damaged. I won't lie, watching his carefully constructed life fall apart felt good. Not because I'm cruel, but because justice feels sweet when you've been gaslit into thinking you were the problem all along. 3 months after the club incident, I ran into Derek at a coffee shop. I almost didn't recognize him. The confident, swagger-filled man who'd manipulated me for months looked diminished. Tired eyes, slouched shoulders, none of his usual peacock energy. Maya, he said, his voice lacking its usual arrogance. Can we talk? Every instinct told me to walk away, but curiosity won. We sat at a corner table, the silence awkward. I've been in therapy, Derek started. My mom made me go, and I'm starting to understand what I did to you. To Vanessa. To everyone. I said nothing, just watched him. I was wrong, he continued, the words seemingly painful to say. About everything. The gaslighting, the manipulation, the public shaming. I was so focused on always being right, always being the victim, that I destroyed everything good in my life, including me, I said quietly. Including you, he agreed. You deserved better. You tried to tell me so many times, and I made you think you were crazy instead. That's unforgivable. It was the first time he'd ever truly taken accountability without immediately making excuses. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated, triumphant. But mostly I just felt sad for who I'd been, the girl who'd accepted so little for so long. I don't forgive you, I said clearly. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I appreciate you finally being honest. Derek nodded, his eyes watering. I heard you're doing really well. New clients, new life. Marcus seems like a good guy. He is, I confirmed. But that's not really your business anymore. I know. Derek stood to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Truly sorry. And I'm glad you got out before I damaged you even more. As I watched him walk away, I didn't feel anger or satisfaction. I felt free. Free from his manipulation. Free from the narrative he'd tried to write for me. Free to finally be myself. That freedom was worth more than any revenge could ever be. 6 months after that night at the club, my life looked completely different. I'd started my own graphic design freelance business, which was thriving. My client list included 3 major companies, and I'd just been featured in a local magazine about young entrepreneurs. Rachel and I were closer than ever, having weekly sister dinners where we actually talked about real things. Jenna was planning her wedding and insisted I be her maid of honor. You stood by me through my worst, she said. Now I get to celebrate you at your best. Marcus and I had been dating for 2 months, taking things slowly and intentionally. He never made me feel crazy for having boundaries. He communicated clearly. He respected my healing process. I'm not trying to save you, Marcus told me early on. You already saved yourself. I just want to be part of your life if you'll let me. It was the healthiest relationship I'd ever experienced, and sometimes that scared me more than the toxic one had. Dr. Chen assured me that was normal. You're learning what healthy love looks like, she explained. It's going to feel strange because you've been conditioned to expect chaos. I still had bad days, moments where Derek's gaslighting echoed in my head, making me question my perceptions. But they were getting fewer and farther between. I heard, through mutual friends, that Derek was still in therapy, still trying to understand his behavior. He'd lost his friend group, his reputation, and his fast-track career trajectory. I didn't feel happy about his suffering, but I didn't feel guilty either. Actions have consequences. Manipulation has a price. And karma, I'd learned, is patient but thorough. The girl who'd stood in that club 6 months ago, desperate enough to make a scene, felt like a different person now, stronger, wiser, free. And that girl? She was just getting started. 1 year later, I stood in a gallery showing my art, paintings I'd created during my healing journey. Each piece told a story of transformation, from darkness to light, from manipulation to freedom, from self-doubt to self-love. Marcus stood beside me, his hand warm in mine. Rachel and Jenna were making sure everyone tried the fancy cheese. Sophia, Derek's ex, who'd helped expose his pattern, had become a genuine friend. We'd bonded over shared trauma and turned it into mutual empowerment. Tyler approached me nervously. This is incredible, Maya. You're incredible. Thank you for speaking up, I told him sincerely. It mattered. I should have done it sooner, he said with regret. I learned a lot from staying silent. I won't make that mistake again. As the night wound down, I stood in front of my centerpiece painting, a woman standing in a nightclub, backlit, by neon lights walking away from a shadow reaching for her. The title, The Breaking Point. Someone I didn't recognize stood beside me, studying it. This is powerful, she said softly. It feels personal. It is, I admitted. Sometimes the worst moments of our lives become our greatest turning points. She nodded, tears in her eyes. I think I'm at my breaking point right now. I looked at her, really looked at her, and recognized that lost, desperate expression. It was the same one I'd worn for months. Then it's time to break, I told her. Trust me, what comes after is so much better. She smiled, and I saw hope flicker in her eyes, the same hope that had saved me, and I knew I'd finally come full circle. The end.